Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to use Google Drawings. It's a really great program that is already part of the Google Suite. So you get to it by being in your Drive. So you would want to go to google.com, and when you get to the little waffle here, you would click on Drive. I'm already there, so that's not a problem. I'm going to come over, I'm going to go New, More, and Google Drawings. That's going to open a new drawing for me. So I'm going to change this right away so that I know it's not untitled. It's going to be called Mrs. Pettis Color Wheel Past. You can call yours your name and color wheel. You do not have to write test. You do not have to write my name. I'm just calling it test because this is probably not going to be my best work. So some of the things that I want to show you is I could star this and it would show up in my recents. I can move this. I can click on this little thing and actually save it where I want it to be on my Drive. So I'm going to put that in my color theory folder. And now when it's saving it, it's saving it right in the folder that I want, so I know where to get it later on. Okay. So the tools that I want to show you today are a couple of things. So if you wanted to insert a text box, you could file and go insert text box. This is always good if I'm trying to do something like a diagram or a chart. So I'm going to make a color wheel by Andy Pettis. Now I can select this all, and I can change the font. I can change the font size. Well, I'm going to need to have that bigger. I want to make an amazingly big diagram here. Okay, I can bold it, italicize, underline. I can change that color, and I can come all the way over here, and I can change the alignment to be more centered. I think that's going to be really nice. All right, so a couple of other things that I can do. I can also insert an image. I can upload from the computer. I could search the web, and I can also add it multiple different ways. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the search the web, and I am going to put in red apple. Now these images here, they're safe for me to use. They've got reusable capabilities here. I don't have to worry that I'm putting this image in my document. Those are safe for use. So if I can scale this, I don't know, I can do all sorts of wonderful things with that. Now, if I drag it off to the side here, this here is my canvas, and these are my desktop, these gray areas to the left and the right. So the canvas is the part that is going to actually publish later on. This part over here is not going to be in that final view. So this is really great if I wanted to reference this, and I will do that later on. Let's see what else I wanted to do. So you can also insert shapes. There's tons of different shapes here. We can, you can drag here, and with these shapes, if you're inserting that shape, okay, let me come back here. If I hold the shift, that's going to keep it, that's going to enlarge it by the same way. Let me see, top and bottom and side to side at the same time. So that's going to make a square as I go. If I let go of the shift, I can drag all different ways and make lots of different rectangles. So if it's important to you that you're making a nice square or a nice circle instead of an oval, then hold down that shift key, okay? Once I do that, I can click on my select tool. I can select that shape. I can change the color. I can change the outline. If I don't want an outline, I can just hit transparent. Okay. And the colors, there's lots and lots and lots of different colors. So say I had a couple of these, and I want a couple more squares here. I'm going to get rid of this guy. delete. So if I wanted a couple more squares, I could draw them all, and that would be fine. I can also come with my select tool. I can go to edit, copy, edit, paste, and then I have another one. Ooh, that's exciting. I'm going to change that one to yellow. Now I want another one in between here. So I could keep coming up here and selecting, edit, copy, edit, paste, but that is a big waste of my time. So instead, I'm going to show you guys how to do the key commands for these. So if you select this and you hit Control C, that's going to copy. Control V is going to paste. V is in Victor. Okay. And Control X cuts it. Let's get that one back because I kind of wanted it. Now I could come here. I can hit orange. Oh my gosh. Look at me. I've got a lot of great things going on here. Now, if I wanted to insert a shape that was like this, okay, and I want to show a shape in between red and orange. I want to do a red-orange. Now, I'm going to show you how to change the color on that to be red-orange. Now, if I look here, I might be like, oh my gosh, I don't see a great red-orange. Come down to Custom. I'm going to use this color slider to go somewhere between red and orange. And I want to choose one where I'm like, yeah, there, right there, that's the orange I want. And I can hit OK. And then I have this shape that is in between red and orange. Now, maybe I don't like the way it is. If you take a hold of a shape up here on that little handle, you can turn it around, do all sorts of neat things with that. Okay. Maybe I don't want this shape to be on the top. I can go over to Arrange, Order. I want to send that to the back. Maybe not. Maybe I want to Arrange, Order. I want to bring it to the front. I did like it up there. Okay. So some of the other things I can do with this is I can hit the Select tool, hit Shift. I can select multiple shapes. I can go Arrange. I want to align those. Maybe I want to align all their tops together. Maybe I want to distribute them nicely horizontally so they're all spaced out. Now, this maybe wasn't the best way to show you that. If you had multiple shapes and you wanted to make sure that they were spaced out nice and even, you could do that with that Arrange tool. That distribute. Well, it is the same thing, I guess. So you would go Arrange, Distribute horizontally, and then that kind of spreads them out a little bit nicely. Let's see, what else do I want to show you about that? I've got some shapes. I showed you how to do a custom color. Oh, the other thing about color is that I wanted to show you is you can click on the color, go to custom, and you can also type in the color. Now, one of the articles that I gave you has the actual color names, like color codes written out in it. So if you wanted to, you could put the color there. I'm just putting in a whole bunch of zeros, which happens to be the one for black. And so I could have that. I could get like really precise color codes. Graphic designers use that all the time to select exactly the color that they want. And other things I want to do is I want to show you how to use some of these tools down here. So this is our Select tool. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, okay? You can also use, these are the key commands here for zooming in and out. You can use those as well. Those are always good to know. Select tool, if something starts to go funky, you can always just click on that and then select the thing that you want. Here's the line tool. This tool is really good. There are so many lines that you can use in here. So when you are clicking on a line, this one, sometimes it's hard for me to get started here. You can, you can drag lines any which way you want, okay? And it's going to do that. If you are clicking shift at the same time, it's going to snap you to like a really horizontal, really vertical, and that'll be great. So now, because I clicked again and I was still in the line tool, it made another line for me. I'm going to just hit backspace or delete to get rid of that. And it may keep doing that. So let's get onto the select tool. And now I can select this point of my line and I can drag it to do whatever I want. The other thing that I wanted to show you is we've got an arrow tool that puts a little arrowhead on it. It's kind of hard to see. You can increase the size of the arrow tool if you want to. Let's see. There's a curve tool, which is kind of fun to draw with. And you can make all sorts of shapes and curves and stuff like that. Now, if I just leave it like this, it's going to, I can change the thickness of the line so that it shows up. If I bring it around, see how it snapped there? And it is, you can now fill it to be a color. You can select it. You can turn it around, okay, to be whatever you want. You can arrange, send it to the back, okay, so it's behind everything else. Now, you will notice that it's halfway on my canvas and halfway off, so I would probably want to drag that over there so that it would be on there. I can also make that a lot smaller if I don't mind that it's getting all distorted. I can do that. If I want to change it and I want to shrink it down and have it stay the way I want it to instead of being distorted, I would just hold the shift as I am scaling that down, right? So that curve tool is really, really helpful. There's a polyline tool, which is really good. That's really great if you're going to be, like, say I wanted to trace this apple, okay? I would go and I'm just clicking around over and over and over again. And that's going to create a multi-point shape. Now, you cannot add points to this shape afterwards. So you have to kind of add all of your shapes as you go. Add all of your points as you go. So that has created like a circular shape, because that's what I was outlining, is that apple. Now I can go and I can, make this bigger or whatever. And then this is really great if you're trying to create a very complicated shape. Also, there are people who will say, use that poly tool to trace the apple. Then they would use the poly tool to trace the stem and then trace maybe the red parts and the yellow parts and the shadow and everything. And they would use that to create like different shapes that they would then put together to create a drawing of the apple. So if you're really interested in learning how to draw a little bit more realistically and make those complicated shapes, there are in the slideshow that I have about this week's work, there are going to be some video tutorials that you can read further, you can watch further on those. So the other thing is, so we've got our polyline tool and we've got Scribble. So Scribble is just scribbles all over the place, and it makes those great lines. So we've got our shape tools, text box, insert image, and line weight. Okay, you can make dashed lines. Here's where you can change the start of a line to be points, the end of the line. Okay, you can even create a link. So if you had wanted to cite a source, you could do that. That's really good if you got a lot of your information from a couple of different sources. You could cite those and have those right there so that people can just click on them and find out more about what they're doing. So, the last thing I wanted to tell you about was I wanted to show you about how to change your background, because you might say, I do not like this checkered background. Well, I will tell you that the checkered background wouldn't be there if you saved it as a certain file types. It would actually be like a blank background, a clear background. That's really good if you were trying to, if you've ever inserted an image into something and you've been like, wow, there's a white box around it and I don't want that. That would be a good way of, you'd want it to be this checkerboard, and that means that it would be, there wouldn't be a background. But sometimes you do want a background. So you want to come through, go over here, and you want to right click. Hello, right click. Sorry, this was not working. Well, anyway, you right click on here, and then it will come up with a dialog box, and you would, that's so funny that's not doing it. Well, you right click on your background. Here. Aha, that's why I wasn't doing I hadn't just done my selection tool. It gets me every time. So you want to come down here to background, and you can change the color of your background. Make sure that when you are choosing your colors and your backgrounds and your fonts and the sizes of the fonts and everything like that, remember, the main goal of these things is to get the information across in the best way possible. And if people can't read your text, or they can't figure out what these images are and stuff, if you're doing this really dark background with really dark text on it, then you're really not getting that information across. You're not being the best designer that you can. So, this blue background, it looks okay. I don't think this is my best work though, but whatever, we got to be done. So that's something that you can do. Remember, you would be on your selection tool. You want to right click, and then you'll be able to change that background so that it can be like, really eye-catching and bold. All right. So remember, at some point you may want to come up here and you may want to move this to be where you want it within your drive, because you're going to be attaching this to your assignment in Google Classroom, and you want to make sure that you can find it. If you have any questions about this, make sure that you email me at bpettis@surprise.com, or you send me a personal message in Google Classroom. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with these. Have a good night.